Hey everyone and welcome back. We're doing something a little different this time.
Oh.
Instead of the usual format, we're taking a deep dive into a book called Dice Formas para Convertirte en Gran Líder by Richard Koch.
Interesting.
Now, before you think we're going fully bilingual on you, don't worry, we'll be breaking it all down in English.
Gotcha.
But I think there's something really cool about gleaning these, management golden nuggets from a different language,
Yeah, for sure.
It just adds another layer of richness to it.
I'm all for it.
So yeah, Richard Koch, he's this British entrepreneur and writer.
Okay.
And his book basically boils down to a practical guide for becoming an exceptional leader.
I like it.
But not in a theoretical, pie in the sky way. That's right.
Really actionable stuff.
I'm intrigued.
And that's what we're all about in this deep dive, right?
It's
giving you those tactical takeaways.
Love it.
That you can actually apply.
Practical advice is key.
Exactly. So to kick things off, Koch dives right into this concept called the Pareto principle.
Okay. Familiar with that one?
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's that 80-20 rule, right?
Exactly. 80-20 rule, Pareto principle.
80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts.
Exactly. And it's crazy how often that pops up.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Even in places you wouldn't expect.
What? Give me an example.
Okay, so say you walk into a bookstore, right?
All right.
Rows and rows of books.
Sure.
But chances are, one title, maybe just 1 out of 20, is driving a huge chunk of their sales.
That's wild.
It's the Pareto principle in action.
Huh. I never thought about it like that.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, what am I spending 80% of my time on?
Right. And is it actually moving the needle?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Am I focused on the wrong things?
And that's what's so powerful about this principle, right?
Really.
It makes you really reevaluate where you're putting your energy.
So it's not just about working hard. It's about working smart.
Exactly. It's about identifying those vital few actions.
It's a 20%.
Yes. The 20% that will actually drive the majority of your results.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this could be a game changer.
Oh, it totally is.
And I'm guessing this applies to, way more than just bookstores, right?
Oh, absolutely. Koch gives tons of examples in the book. Okay, think about the U.S. stock market.
Okay.
A tiny fraction of companies often account for the lion's share of market gains.
Interesting.
Same principle, totally different field.
So it's about identifying those star performers in any area.
Yes. Whether it's your to-do list, your product line, or your investment portfolio.
It's about understanding that not all actions are created equal.
Exactly. And that leads us to another crucial aspect of exceptional leadership that Koch highlights.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
It's the power of asking the right questions.
Okay, sounds simple enough.
It does, right? But you'd be surprised how often we get so caught up in trying to have all the answers.
Yeah, I can see that.
That we forget to ask the questions that actually matter.
Oh, I totally do that. I get so focused on solving the problem that I don't take a step back and think,
is this even the right problem to be solving?
Yes. Or am I even asking the right questions about this problem?
And that's what Koch is getting at, right?
Yeah, it's we're so busy trying to answer questions that we forget to ask the ones that can actually lead to breakthroughs.
It's like we're so busy chopping down trees that we forget to sharpen the saw.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's all about working smarter, not harder.
So how do we get better at asking those powerful questions?
Well, Koch offers some really practical advice in the book.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, here's one he emphasizes. Who is my most important customer?
Interesting.
It might seem obvious on the surface.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the thick of things, it's easy to lose sight of who you're truly serving.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget the bigger picture.
And when you're clear about who your most important customer is, you can tailor everything you do.
Your products, your services.
Your communication, everything.
Yeah.
To meet their needs.
It's about being strategic and intentional.
Exactly. It's like that laser focus.
Totally. And that leads us to another question. Koch highlights, what are my most and least profitable products or services?
Ooh, that one can be tough.
Right. It's about facing those hard truths.
Totally. Because sometimes we're so emotionally attached.
To a product or a service.
Yes. Even if it's not actually serving the business.
Or our goals.
Exactly. And Koch is all about being honest with yourself.
Absolutely.
Analyzing the data.
And making those tough decisions.
Even if it means letting go of something you've poured your heart and soul into.
It's about having that bigger vision in mind.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another fascinating concept from the book. Superconnectors.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those. They're like those people who know everyone.
Exactly. But it's not just about having a massive network.
Right. It's about the kind of network.
Exactly. Koch argues that it's often those weak ties, those casual acquaintances
Interesting.
that have the most potential for like game-changing opportunities.
It's like that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly. And you know what's funny? I actually had this experience years ago that totally illustrates this point.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, so I was at a wine bar.
Okay.
Just chatting with this guy I vaguely knew.
Sure.
And he mentioned he was starting a new company.
Okay.
And as he's describing it, my ears perk up.
Wow.
Because it was exactly the kind of company I had been dreaming of working for. I'm not even kidding. It was like the universe was listening.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right. And that chance encounter, that weak tie, completely changed my career trajectory.
That's amazing. It's like winning the lottery.
And Koch actually uses that analogy in the book.
He does. Tell me more.
He talks about red and green lottery tickets.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
So red tickets are like the conventional paths to success.
Okay.
Education, hard work.
Makes sense.
They require a lot of effort, often expensive.
Yeah.
And that payoff is often, modest.
Yeah.
Green tickets, on the other hand,
Yeah.
they represent the information and opportunities
Oh.
that come from those weak ties, those unexpected encounters.
The wine bar connection.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you never know when that random conversation.
Could lead to something amazing.
Exactly. It's like those green tickets are often low cost, low effort,
Low risk.
but the potential payoff.
Huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be life-changing.
So how do we become more like those super connectors? How do we find those green tickets?
Well, Koch argues that it's not about being a social butterfly or
Yeah.
having a million LinkedIn connections.
Right.
It's about being genuinely interested in people,
Okay.
cultivating a diverse network.
So get out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talk to people outside your usual circles.
Makes sense.
And be willing to help others.
Because what goes around comes around.
Exactly. And you never know where those connections might lead.
Love it. So we've talked about working smarter with the Pareto principle.
Yes.
And leveraging those weak ties to uncover hidden opportunity.
Right. And now Koch throws us a curveball.
Oh, I'm ready. Hit me.
He wants us to embrace strategic laziness.
Wait, what?
I know. It sounds counterintuitive.
It sounds kind of amazing, actually.
Right. But he's not talking about being lazy in the traditional sense.
Okay.
It's not about slacking off or avoiding work.
Gotcha.
It's about being more deliberate,
Okay.
more thoughtful with your time and energy.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
It's about being strategic and intentional with your downtime, too.
Okay, I can get behind that.
'Cause it's like we're so used to glorifying the hustle.
Right, like the more you work, the more valuable you are.
Exactly. But Koch's saying, hey, sometimes the most productive thing you can do
It's to take a break.
Yes. Step away from the desk, clear your head,
Give your brain a chance to breathe.
because that's when those creative breakthroughs often happen.
It's so true. I can't tell you how many times I've been wrestling with a problem,
Right.
and then I go for a walk or take a shower, and boom.
The solution just hits you.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my subconscious has been working on it in the background.
And sometimes you just need to create that space.
I let those insights bubble up.
Precisely. And Koch provides some really practical tips for this.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, he's a big advocate for scheduling thinking time.
Thinking time.
Yeah. Like literally block it out on your calendar,
Interesting.
just like you would a meeting.
Okay.
But this meeting is with yourself.
I like it.
To think strategically, to reflect, to just be
It's so easy to let our calendars get filled up.
with other people's priorities.
Exactly. And then we end up feeling like we don't even have time to think.
And that's a recipe for burnout.
For sure.
So yeah, make time for thinking, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day.
It makes a difference.
It really does. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from the Pareto principle to superconnectors
To strategic laziness.
and everything in between. But if there's one thing I hope you take away from this,
It's that being a great leader isn't about following some rigid set of rules.
it's about finding what works for you
Exactly. It's about being authentic, being intentional.
and always being open to learning and growing.
So to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep asking those tough questions, keep experimenting, keep pushing the boundaries.
And most importantly, keep leading with courage, compassion, and a commitment to making a difference.
Until next time.